Hello, my name is Leroy Blevins. Welcome to Mysteries and Histories. In this episode here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the story of the Babushka Lady and Beverly Oliver. Okay, her eyewitness accounts and her story. I just got done making one on Jean Hill, and I point out the facts of reason why I don't believe in her story. Now, in this one here, I'm going to point out facts and stuff, and the reason why I don't believe Beverly Oliver's story because there's a lot of things that we see in the films and images and stuff like that, and a lot of things that she says, okay, does not fit or line up. As I point out in Jean Hill's testimony, there's a lot of things that's going on and they're saying stuff doesn't fit in what we see or what we really hear about the assassination of JFK. Now, again, like I point out in my video of Jean Hill, here's things that I do here, okay, to see if the person's telling the truth or not. Okay, I have to go through these facts and I have to understand this to see if this person's testimony was right or was it wrong. Okay, what's false information and what's true information. And what I'm going to point out here is facts to show you that Beverly Oliver is really, in fact, not the Babushka Lady. So if she's not the Babushka Lady, then her story is false. And that's false information. First, we're going to talk about the Babushka Lady's camera. In the Zapruder film, we can see the Babushka Lady, as I'll show here. And we can see in this frame here, which I'll zoom in, we can see she has a box type camera. Okay, we can tell she has a box type camera. And there's also images taken of the Babushka Lady after the assassination. We can see her standing right here holding her camera that she used that day. We can see it's a box camera, which I'm going to bring this up here and we're going to zoom it in. Okay, now the type of camera that she's actually using is a Sears Tower camera, which will be this one right here. Okay, this is exactly what she's been using right here. It's a box camera, as you see right here. It's almost the same style and shape camera the Babushka Lady was using that day. Okay, this camera right here, as you see right here. Now, the type of camera that Beverly Oliver claims she was using was this. Okay, she said it was a Yashka camera. Excuse me, I look over my note for a minute. A Yashka camera. This is the camera that she was using, a movie camera. But the Babushka Lady was using a box still camera, which only takes individual shots and don't take no movies or anything else, just take individual pictures. But Beverly Oliver claims she had this kind of camera over here, which you watch my cursor. She had this type of camera here. Well, this type of camera wasn't actually manufactured until 1967, 1968 when it was actually came out. But she says it was a demo model that she was using. Okay, every time that something's pointed out in her story, she comes up with something new. Just like the Babushka Lady has darker hair. Well, Beverly Oliver claimed that she put a wig on that day. Okay, but we could see with photographic evidence that this is not the type of camera right here. This is not the type of camera that the Babushka Lady was using, which I think I have an image right here. Yeah, right here. I have this image here. We can see this is not a Yashka camera. It is a tower camera, a Sears tower camera, because we can see it's the same knob, same clicker right here. It's on here. We can see the lens. Actually, she's holding it sideways in her hand. Okay, and you can see this is much smaller and it's got a longer nose to it, and it's a thinner camera. Okay, we can see that this is not the camera that's the Babushka Lady's holding. Now, we know this is not Beverly Oliver's camera. Okay, and as I point out in my one video about the Babushka Lady, when she hit to a certain point, a light came on. Okay, and it's like a signal to somebody, whoever's on the other side, to let them know to take the shot. But now I also want to point out this as well. When we look at the Babushka Lady's shoes, okay, we're going to look at her shoes for a moment. Now the camera we know doesn't match Beverly Oliver's claim of the camera she was using, type of camera she was using. Now we're going to look at the shoes right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up these this image here, pull up this image here. We'll close this one out. Now, we got both of these images here. We're going to put Beverly Oliver's image over here. The Babushka Lady's shoes over here. The ones she was wearing that day. And she says that these shoes are these shoes here, when, a matter of fact, they are not. And here's the reason why. When we look at the heels alone, the heel, here's the heel, right here, of Beverly Oliver's shoes she claimed. We see it's only about a 1/4 inch higher than the sole itself, okay? And we can see that the heel is actually rounded off more, which I'll bring up a diagram right here. Okay, which I'll bring this diagram up over here. So you can see the difference between both of these shoes. We see the heel and stuff like that. This is what Beverly Oliver, the sole of her shoes, look like. And we can see it's got a rounded tip to it as well. As you see here, it's a rounded off tip. It's not pointed out. But now let's look at the Babushka Lady shoes. And we're going to go up close to it. We can see she has pointed shoes, pointed toes like this. And we see the heel coming down about 3/4, and it's a full heel, not a small heel like Beverly Oliver's shoe. It's more of a heel of the full size heel like this, and it sticks down further. Beverly Oliver's heel sticks down this far. The shoe she proclaims that was the shoe she was wearing that day of the JFK assassination. The heel only sticks down about not even a 1/4 of an inch, about an 1/18 to probably a 1/4 inch. I'll give her that. But the heel on this Babushka Lady's shoes comes down to about 3/4, and it's a full heel, and hers is a smaller heel on Beverly Oliver's shoe, as you see right here. Smaller heel, bigger heel here. Okay. The bottoms of Beverly Oliver's shoes are styled like this. The Babushka Lady's bottom, her soles, are like this. Plus, the toe is pointed more to a point than Beverly Oliver's. Beverly Oliver's is rounded off, but hers comes to a sharp point, which we can also see in this image as well. When we pull this up, I'll bring this over so we can look at her shoes. And as you see, there are a fine point, very tip point like this. Beverly Oliver's tips are rounded off like this on her shoes, but the ones on Babushka Lady here is in a point. Okay, so now at this point, the cameras don't match. The hair color doesn't match. Okay, the shoes don't match the story. Now we're going to go into her story that she talks about. Now, you can go on YouTube and you can see, pull up images and stuff of her, like this one in here. And she sit there and she's giving a presentation and she's showing one of the images from her film. She said this image here, she got 4 frames. Somebody gave her 4 frames that they seen her film. And this is one of her frames here. She shows a couple of them in this presentation. She said this is her frame from her film. Now, the next one she claimed was from her film is this one right here. She said this is also from her film as well. But like I said, when I do my research and stuff like that, I go in details. I analyze stuff. I go in further and I dig further. Okay, as you see, her shoes don't match up. Her camera doesn't match up. Okay, now let's pull this image back up again. This is her image. As you see, here's Beverly Oliver right here where my cursor is. This is Beverly Oliver, which I'll zoom in. So you can see that's Beverly Oliver right there. This is a presentation of one of the frames from her film. From her film. She said it's from her film. What if I tell you that's not from her film? I'll tell you the true name of the person that actually filmed this film, and that's called the Orville Nix film. Here's that frame. This is the frame from the Orville Nix film. This is that frame that she's showing here. Oh, well, it looks a little different, you might ask, because that's what they'll say. Well, no, mine looks different. Hers is going uphill, mine's going downhill and stuff. Let me show you how that's done. Okay, which I'll shrink this one and I'll shrink this one. Okay, you take this frame here. Let's pull it up. Okay, then we're going to take this frame again. We're going to pull up here. we're going to take this frame. Okay, now we're just going to turn the frame just a little bit. Then after we get done turning the frame just a little bit, then we're going to do our crops, which it'll be right here. So we're going to pull this one up. Whoops. Pull this one up. Pull this one here. This one here. This one here. Now, we're going to have the overall mix film. We're going to turn it just a little bit as you see here. Now we're going to do our crops, which we're going to cut out this section here, this section here, this section here, and this section here, and then level it up just a little bit, and there's our image right there. Now, haven't we seen this image right here somewhere before? Yes, we have, and I'm going to show you right now that image. We're going to zoom in now. Here we go. There's that image right there. Now, remember, Beverly Oliver says this is frames from her film, but I just showed you this is actually frame 16 from, frame 16 from the Orville Nix film. The frame that she's claimed that was hers was actually from the Orville Nix film. And we also could tell this as well, because if you notice, when we zoom in right here, we're also going to see that same mark right here. We got the same mark right here as in both of these frames. And then we see this line, you see this glowing line right here? We see that glowing line right here too. Okay, so the frame that she's actually viewing and showing people right here in her presentations and stuff that she claims is from her film actually is from the Orville Nix film. Because the other frame that she claimed, which I've also looked into, that is from her film, that's this frame right here, is actually frame 61 of the Orville Nix film. Oops, wrong one. This one here. Close this one out. Orville, this is the frame that Beverly Oliver said was hers. Okay, again, like I told you, all you gotta do is just turn it, take the frame, tilt it just a little bit, cut out the crops and stuff, straighten it up, and that'll be right here. So we're going to do that. So see, all they did was crop this out a little bit more, which I'm only showing this guy right here. From here, they'll cut this part section out. They'll bring this up so to come up to here so you can have a little more view up here, because this is the same frame. Because you see these lines right here from the Orville Nix film, these lines that come straight down like this. Guess what? They're over here on the Orville Nix film too. See? Same lines and all. So see, now, I'm going to point out, we know she had a wig on. Well, she had darker hair. Beverly Oliver's hair wasn't the same as the Babushka Lady's. We also know that the camera that Babushka Lady was using, not the same camera that Beverly Oliver claimed she was using. Now we know the shoes didn't match the Babushka Lady's shoes. Okay, now you just seen frames that she claimed was from her film, was not her film at all. It was from an Orville Nix film. Now, to also back that up, I want to show you this. We know this is from the Orville Nix film as well, not only because of the filming of it, but watch this. I want to show you something else too that everybody don't want to look at. See, that's the reason why people, when they made up their stories and everything else, they never expect nobody to go in details and actually look over their testimony and investigate their testimonies, because that's what I do too. I take the story or the testimony and I investigate it to make sure if it's true or not. Now I'm going to show you something. Now what we see in the Orville Nix film, or the film she so-called claims that it's hers, okay, we'll just pull the frame up there. She's claiming it was her from her film. Now I want to show you this. Okay, that was my wife again, Tracy. Now, let's do this side by side here. I'm going to show you something. She claimed this is from her film. She claimed that she was filming this. What really tips it off the most is this lady right here. Okay, the Orville Nix was filming coming in from Main Street into Elm Street. Okay, and he captured this woman right here. Now, when you look at the Zapruder film, as you see over here, here's the Babushka Lady. If you watch my cursor, here's the Babushka Lady. See the shadow over here? That's her shadow. Watch. 1, 2, 3. That lady right there, okay, is this lady right here. So whoever's filming this film right here is over here. But Beverly Oliver says, no, it's her filming it. Because she says this lady comes in her play, you know, in front of her and stuff like that. When we can see in a Zapruder film, there's the Babushka Lady right here where my cursor is. And that lady is way far off from her. You see? And she's way behind the Babushka Lady because the Babushka Lady is way over here. And she's filming closer to the curb because if you look at the Babushka Lady, okay, we're going to look at the Babushka Lady. She's just right behind this couple here, which is, here's the curb, and she's right here filming. And we see this lady right here. Look how far she is. Oops. Let's look how far she is from the curb. Here's the curb here. Right here's the curb. You see that yellow spot right here. There's a curb. Look how far back she is right here. But remember, Beverly Oliver says this is her frame. This is from her frame. This is from her film, which we could see that is not her film. We can see the Storvel Nix film because I know, because no one else knows, I know the frame numbers of here. This is frame 16 right here. The other frame that she shows is frame 61 of the Orville Nix film. I show you how they've done that. I show you how they did her crop stuff, turn it just a little bit so they can fool people and say, hey, here is my frame for my film when it's not. Okay, and I'll also show you that this lady right here, and here's the Babushka Lady, as I point out, here's the Babushka Lady, and this shadow right here is that lady that we see in that frame. And there she is right there. And you see, she's far back from where the Babushka Lady is. So the only person that she would film, okay, would be this guy right here that's in front of her, and maybe Jean Hill and Mary Mormon if she was filming in a film. But we don't see that, okay? We see in her presentation of her frames, a frame from the Orville Nix film. So see, that's why I don't believe in Beverly Oliver's story as being the Babushka Lady. Now I point out facts and stuff. In Jean Hill's story, the reason why I don't believe in her story. Now here is Beverly Oliver's story, the so-called Babushka Lady. I point out facts. Different camera, different color hair, different types of shoes. The frames that she shows in her presentation is from the Orville Nix film, frame 16 and frame 61. The two frames I just showed you. This is frame 16 that she shows in her presentation. This is frame 61 of the Orville Nix film. And I show you they have the same markings and everything else. Okay, this is the reason why I don't believe the Babushka Lady story or Beverly Oliver story. So there's Jean Hill's story, I don't believe. And there's Beverly Oliver's story, I don't believe. And these ladies worked on the JFK assassination movie of Oliver Stone. Okay, they worked on it. They gave their parts in that story. If you watch the movies, they tell their story in there. Now, I just showed you their story is false information. So are they really telling the truth? Or are they really just making a story just to get that fame and get that glory and make that money like everybody else? This is the reason why I base my research on what can be seen. I can't base on what's been told or what's in a testimony, as I point out in these facts here, in this video and the other video of Jean Hill. I cannot believe the stories that are told because there are a lot of false information that I can point out. This is just only a part of what I can point out of all the research and investigation I've done on each one of these each one of these individuals. Because of the pure simple fact of it is, I'm not like any other researchers. I am not going to give out false information because I'm not into giving out false information. I'm in my researches for finding the truth, to put a closure on a case. And now I look at the JFK assassination as a murder case, even though he's a president, but I just still look at it as a murder case. So I like to put closure to it. Okay, when I work on a case, I put closure to it. And this is one of the reasons that I don't believe in the stories that are told by eyewitnesses. So if they're lying about this, okay, they're giving us false information about this, then the rest of the stories they're also giving us to is false information as well. So we cannot use none of that. That's the reason why I don't base my research on what is told in the story, unless it matches what we see. If what we see matches what and it's just told in the story, then I can say, okay, yes, that fits. Like Governor Connolly says, he was shot by the second shot as he was turning off to his left. We see that in the films. We see the bullet impact, though that was after the fatal headshot. That matches. The Newmans claim the shots came from directly behind them. That matches in what we see. Mr. Spruce's first testimony stats was right behind him. That matches with what we see. The location where they smell gunpowder and stuff on the roadside there, that matches and lines up to our location where our gunman we found. So you see, everything fits. So we know what's true and we don't, and we know what's not true. We know the false stories and we know there's true stories there. That's why I said there's only a certain percentage of the assassination we can believe in, because the other part is when it comes to talking about assassination is false claims, false stories, as I just showed you here in the Beverly Oliver story. Different shoes, different color hair, different camera, and the pictures that she's showing, she's claiming it was from her camera and from her film, and it wasn't. It wasn't. So the guy so the so-called gunman that she's seen behind the picket fence area didn't exist because her story is false. The so-called gunman seen behind a picket fence by Jean Hill, as I point out in my other video, doesn't exist because her story is false as well. See? So where is the evidence of the gunman behind a picket fence? There is none. That's why people don't believe, because they can see this themselves. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to tell your friends about it. Share this information as well. Share this video and my other videos with your friends and stuff so they know this information. Again, hit that like button. Don't forget that subscribe button. Thank you, and you have a pleasant day.